You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Super excited about you guys joining in and listening in. And you know what, guys? We have a special guest on the line. I really can't wait to unpackage and break down this conversation with Evan, with Evan's Landscape. Evan, what's going on, brother? How are we doing?
Hey, doing great. Thank you, Brian.
Awesome, dude. It's I'm really excited about having you on the show. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule. I'll tell you straight up, Evan. A lot of folks that I get requests from, like get people on the episodes and get people on the podcast. It's always young people that want to hear other young people. You know, like that 18 to 25 crowd. You know what I'm saying? And it's cool to have you on the phone because you do a lot with hardscaping, landscaping. You do a lot with social media, and you're just a really good dude, man. Like, you and I were able to catch up for about half hour before we hit the record button, and just got to get to know each other. And you got so many good things going on, man. So before we jump into it and we go down the rabbit hole, because we're going to talk hardscaping, YouTube, social media, all this kind of stuff, why don't you just give everybody maybe a quick snapshot? Who are you? Where are you from? What do you got going on? And we'll break it down after that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so my name is Evan, and I own a company called Evan's Landscape. We're located in Minnesota, and we do hardscaping, as Brian had mentioned, and we do patios, retaining walls, anything outdoor living related, pergolas and whatnot, and we do some snow removal too. We do not do a whole lot of maintenance. We're focusing more on the design build right now. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And what we love.
Nice, man. Well, like I said, guilty pleasure. I can't wait to talk to you about hardscaping, because I'm a huge outdoor living space and hardscaping fanboy. And that's what you do, and that's how I found you on Instagram. And so I'm really excited about having you on the show. Before we jump into it, let's do this. Let's hear from the announcements, and then we'll start unpackaging things here.
Hey, lawn and landscape pros.
I'm talking to you.
Don't let your edge go dull.
Your competitive edge.
Sharpen your edge at the GIE Plus Expo this October 21st through the 23rd in Louisville, Kentucky.
Understand the words coming out of my mouth?
Innovative products, latest technology. Talk face-to-face with engineers that design your favorite equipment. Then step outside and dive into the hands-on demo area, where you can drive, dig, and compare equipment to your heart's delight.
Am I wrong? No, you're not wrong.
This year, the wow gets even bigger with the new UTV test track, the hands-on drone zone, and free parking. Register now at GIE-expo.com, and we'll see you in Louisville, Kentucky this October.
Today, we got a really good resource. I'm not going to ramble or anything like that. We're going to get into it because, Evan, you said that you're doing hardscaping now, but what's your story? How did you get started? I don't know if everybody gets to know you yet, so let's break it down with your story. Where did you get started in the green industry, or how did you get started in the green industry, I guess, is my first question for you.
Yeah, so it all started. My dad has a lawn care company, lawn care and snow removal, had that for many years. So growing up, I had worked with him a little bit. I would, ride in the truck with him, plow snow. That was kind of fun. Get to stay up extra late. When you're 8 years old, that's pretty exciting. Getting to, and going to the gas station and getting a bunch of pop and candy bars and stuff like that. But,
sure.
Yeah, in the summer, then he would have us. So I guess first of all, I was homeschooled growing up too, and so had a little more flexibility with being able to work hands on growing up too, getting the real world experience right off the bat, which I definitely admire that. I definitely wouldn't change any of that now looking back into my childhood. Just so many good lessons and good things that came from that. And one of those was the flexibility to be able to, work hands-on and, like I said, work with my family's business. And so, growing up, I was the little guy, 6 years old, riding around on the lawnmower, pulling siblings behind, the lawnmower on sleds and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, I got a couple older siblings, so they'd, fly us around the yard and have a lot of fun that way.
Sure. Sure.
But as much fun as that was, we would also, go into town and we lived out in the country a little bit, so we'd go into town and help my dad with his business, which was kind of a one-man show. He didn't have a whole lot of other employees. It was just him, a couple other guys, and then us children as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, so we grow up doing all that, doing the lawn care, the edging, and some little maintenance jobs here and there.
Okay.
Leaf cleanup in the fall, so that was pretty exciting. So grew up doing that, and then as time went on, I did that probably all the way almost through high school. Then I just kind of thought, at that time in your life, everybody's going off to college, and you're like, what should I do?
Mm-hmm.
And I knew college wasn't really for me. I did a little PSEO through high school, little college credits online through high school. So that was really neat. But I still knew that wasn't for me. And so then I started working for another landscape company. Just really enjoyed that. And then, the funny thing was I was only getting 40 hours. And, if that, 30, 40 hours. And I was used to working, a lot more than that. And so I'd get home from that job. And then my dad's still doing the lawn care. He would pass some of the smaller landscape jobs, mulching and whatnot, planting bushes. He'd pass those jobs off to me. And so I'd get home from work from that other landscape company, and then I'd go to work again. And so I'd work till 9, 10 at night, and put in some pretty big hours for a younger guy.
Mm-hmm.
But that was really cool. So to have that experience, and then I got I was kind of looking at my future again in a couple of years after that, because I worked for that other company for a couple of years, and which was a solid company. I learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I was introduced to the hardscapes, the patios, the pavers, the retaining walls, all that bigger. I wouldn't call it larger excavation jobs and different things like that, but it was a little different than it was more design build rather than just the straight maintenance.
Yeah.
And so that really intrigued me, and so that just kind of sparked something in me, and I was like, I could see myself doing that. And growing up. For all the listeners out there, so many of us, we grow up and we just know we don't, I don't know if we see ourselves as entrepreneurs right off the bat, because first we have to figure out what is an entrepreneur, and am I one? But, so many of us just kind of see ourselves not working for somebody. And I'm sure that's, a lot of the people listening too. We just always just assume we'll kind of be doing our own thing. It's what we know. It's what we love, and we don't see ourselves doing anything different really. And so, and that was kind of me. And so I never really saw myself working under another larger company. Never saw myself doing what a lot of my friends were doing. I was like, I kind of felt a little different at times.
Oh, yeah.
As I'm sure, as I'm sure you have too.
Well, especially when you're in a small town, and like you said, everybody's going to college or, so to work for their dad or their, a business. And here you are like, throwing the reins off, and you're like, no, I want to do my own thing,
Definitely. Yeah. And so, after a couple of years of working with that other company and just really enjoying, kind of discovering the hardscape, I was like, I like this. And, I played a lot of music growing up too, different bands. I'd kind of gig around, different coffee shops and everything. So I kind of had the artsy side growing up. I've always liked art, but then I always liked working hard too. I couldn't see myself really doing one or the other. And so I was like, why not mesh the two?
Yeah.
And because, in hardscaping, if you're doing a patio, or especially the designs too, that's something else we do. We're kind of a design build company now. And, that takes a lot of creativity to be able to take a client's ideas and to create something that they can really enjoy for years to come in their own backyard, kind of like this oasis type of thing. I mean, I would like to say everybody could do it, but, some people are just, and not to say that we're the best at it, but by all means, we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But it does take a little creativity to be able to do something like that.
Well, dude,
So,
I mean,
anybody can throw in a patio, but to make it look good and to make it be able to, function also,
right.
That's another thing.
And have that artistic, input to where it kind of blends with the landscape or wherever you're installing it. You know what I mean? I've really come to appreciate folks that are creative and have that artistic ability because, I work, I've done some stuff with Greg Woodstock, the pond guy, right? And he's like, you're not just installing a pond or a water feature. He's like, you're creating a landscape, like a water, I don't know what do you even call it, a landscape, a waterscape, design. He's like, it's art, and he's an awesome dude. And he's like, he's placing stones. Like I was at his warehouse and, we're doing a build out, right? Like a mock build out. And he's like, and I put a stone down. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing? He's like, that stone doesn't look right. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it doesn't look right. And he's like, you got to be artistic. Like, it's got to be beautiful in design. And he's like, look, don't grab that stone, grab this stone. And the funny thing is, like, as weird as it sounds, he's right. Like he built this like beautiful like collage, right, out of like stones and then smaller stones, and he built this water feature. And he's like, look, it's going to be part of nature. It's got to be an extension, and that's where I see a lot of like hardscape landscape design. And so I'm sure that allows you to still express what you like to do, which is work hard and, like you said, have that artistic creative side.
Definitely, it is really cool to be in the presence of somebody like that has just done what they love for so long. Just talking with him is just energizing because I've been down to that same event that you've been talking about.
Yeah,
and it's just really cool just to sit with him and talk with him, and just you can feel the wisdom. You can feel this. I don't know what it is. This presence about people like that. Not just Greg, but Greg is one of the the perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
He just loves what he does, and that's his thing too. I love my job.
Yeah,
he says that all the time.
All the time.
And I believe that's something that we all should do
for sure.
When I'm listening to podcasts, what I really like is some actionable things that I can really take away and I can learn and I can implement into my life, and take my business and my personal life to the next level. And that's just something that's been sticking out to me for the past couple of years is just, it's something that, what I think everyone on this earth has the capability of doing is loving what they do. And that's so many times, even in a gas station, you walk up and it's like, hey, how are you doing? People checking you out in the gas station. You just ask, how their day is going, and so many times it's like, well, I got a couple more hours. Day's almost done, and it's just looking forward. So they're looking forward to when they can clock out of their job.
Buying time,
that's just crazy. That boggles my mind. Like, what if every single person that you'd ask that to was like, I love what I do. I can't wait for tomorrow when I can come back and do the same thing. And I cannot believe I'm getting paid for it too. Like, imagine if we live in a world that was the case instead of how it is typically, where, I can't wait to be done with my job. It just kind of boggles my mind. So that's kind of been weighing on me. It's like, man, what if we can, and I believe you're doing this with your podcast, with your Launchpreneur Academies, just cultivating these the listeners and the people that follow you, just to excel in what they do and just become the best versions of themselves.
Amen, dude.
And
amen.
I think that's so beautiful.
Well, dude, amen to that. Like I remember a guy saying once, nobody pays good money to watch 3s and 4s, right? They only pay good money to watch 9s and 10s. And that stuck with me a handful of years ago. And I'm like, you know what? If we're gonna do something, let's do it the best we can, right? And we're not perfect, obviously, but I get competitive. I wanna win, I wanna succeed, and I wanna do a good job. And I think that's something that one winner can recognize in another winner, and I see that in you, just by how you carry yourself. And when I reached out to you, you've always been respectful and cordial when we DM back and forth on Instagram. I'm not gonna pretend we're best friends. I'm just getting to know you, but you just seem like a really cool young dude who's got a good head on his shoulders. And again, I get so many questions of folks that want to hear how to make it when they're younger, because there's so many people don't want to go to college, or they do college and then they get burned out and they just want to start their own business and they, like you said, want to work with their hands, you know. Let me ask you this. So talking about hardscapings in general, like what's some of the stuff that you like to build? Okay. Like what's some of the things that you like to do? Cause I was scrolling through your Instagram a few minutes ago. You got some beautiful designs, some beautiful installs. I was joking with you before we hit record that I'm a huge outdoor living space nut. Okay, like Liz and I, whether we build or buy, we're figuring that all out now over the next 12-18 months. But low key, way before Instagram, like I've been snapping photos on my phone for a long while, you know, about designing the best perfect little outdoor space. You know, I love pergolas, I love fire pits, I love outdoor kitchens, you know, I love hot tubs, you know, and I looked through your Instagram and it just caught my eye, you know. Another friend of mine and of the show is Caleb Allman, right? And I know you know of Caleb, just an amazing dude, right? Him and Brittany, and even his foreman Bo. Just I went down there and got to visit them, and just incredible people. Well, you know, I went to our local Techo Block event about a week ago at the time of this recording, and people were like, "What are you like getting into brick pavers and landscape or hardscaping?" I'm like, "No." They're like, well, confused. They're like, well, why are you going? I'm like, dude, just to network, you know, just to hang out, just to learn, you know, the industry and just to check out all the equipment. But low key, I'm like, dude, one day I'm gonna have like a nice outdoor living space, like, and I'm telling you, like, I get excited talking about it. I sound like a dork, but I go through your Instagram and I see, I was keeping up with you on that gray stone project that you were doing all summer. I don't know, maybe like 2 months probably, but it, you know, took a couple weeks obviously. And how did you, like, what do you like to design or what do you like to install? Like, what's your passion, you know, with hardscaping? Because I mean, dude, you're doing crazy work at 23 years old. I think it's super impressive.
Well, thank you, Brian. Yeah, what I really like to do, and you know, that's always changing. That's something, you know, you ask your 23-year-old self, you know, what I like to do, and you can have an answer. But then, you know, I can project that my 30-year-old self and my 4-year-old self, you know, that's always going to morph, and that's always going to be changing.
Sure.
But yeah, right now in my life, I just really, you know, in the business, and yeah. I mean, Evan's Landscape. This is going on 3 years. We're going on our 4th season actually right now.
Cool.
And so haven't been, you know, I'm not going to try to pretend that I've been, you know, I'm a master by any means.
Right.
We're still learning and, you know, everything like that. But yeah, what we really like to do is patios, more the outdoor living spaces. And even throwing in a patio is cool, but really incorporating even the landscape around it. So yeah, like a patio, little freestanding walls, and say fire pits and pergolas. You know, all of that. That's what I like. And then you know, incorporating the natural stone. That's something we did this year more. 2019 season was incorporating natural stone, like the boulders. What we've been using a lot, and I think you're referring to this, was the limestone boulders, and those, you know, those are big chunks of rock we're working with, and so just incorporating that into you know the landscape, the outdoor living spaces. Yeah, and to answer your question, to sum it up, it's outdoor living spaces we really like. Yeah, really like to do, and you know, one direction I will take the business in a couple of years here is we'll start up an excavation division. And so, you know, and this is the cool thing about what we do, even, you know, with your lawn care, you can go in so many different directions with what we do. You know, if we have lawn care, you know, I think we're both familiar with, you know, Keith Kalfas and, you know, with what he does with the window cleaning. I mean, you can, and shrub trimming, and more tree work. You know, there's so many different avenues we can go, you know, excavation. We can go into, you know, lawn grading with, you know, if you can get a skid steer, we can do lawn grading and reseeding. We can do sod. You know, there's so many different areas we can go into. I think that's the beauty of, you know, something we do. You can always change that. You can always specialize in something else. If we want to, you know, of course we have our set, you know, our skill sets that we're really excel in different areas. But if we ever hit a slump in our businesses,
right,
and this can be good for some of the younger listeners too. There's so many different ways that we can
diversify a little bit, if you need to.
Absolutely, yeah. And if we're not growing our business in one area, then we can kind of focus a little more on the other.
Cool. Well, so okay. So let me ask you this. I got two big questions that I know folks your age and folks listening in want to know. One is, naturally, how do you convince people to spend a lot of money with you? That's something that I want to know. And so let's start with that. I got another question. It'll parlay. It'll be a 1-2. Not going to ask you anything you don't know, but how have you convinced folks to go with you versus the other guy and build these outdoor solutions? The other question is, how does somebody else get started doing all this? But I answer them in whatever order you want. But how did you get going in this, or how can maybe somebody who wants to break into hardscaping and doing these kind of designs, any suggestions? Because it's not cheap. This isn't, all respect to mowing, but mowing is way easier. It's a little bit more no-brainer. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't think it can be any more of a confession there. As long as you can mow straight stripes, you'll do okay.
I appreciate your humility, Brian. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but I'm at the Techo Block event, and they're talking angles and degrees and pitch and roll and grade and stones and number 7s and 57 recycled, and I'm like, I don't even know what and it's like its own language. So how did you get started with? I know you, like you said, you branched off from some spillover work that your dad did, but if somebody else is looking to break into it, any suggestions that you can give them, like pitfalls or things to look out for, or where they can get started with some of this stuff?
I think you kind of answered your own question right there too, and answered the question for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
That is exact. The stuff that kind of boggles your mind, like what is a number 57 stone? Clean stone, versus road base. What woven geotextile. First of all, what is geotextile?
Yeah,
all
man.
of that stuff. Whatever you have questions about, figure out that answer, and you'll be one step ahead of everybody else. Where you'll be one step ahead of where you were 10 minutes before you answered that question, and along with everyone else that hasn't answered that question for themselves. So we're sitting here like, what is geotextile? What is geogrid? And when do you use it? Do I use it in a retaining wall? Going to the Techo showcase and the different expos, that is. And going to YouTube too, and going to, finding somebody, Caleb Aumann is a great example, whether it be YouTube or probably not as much TikTok, but more into Instagram.
Yeah.
He is a knowledge spitter, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
He is. You cannot listen to that guy for 1 minute without learning something.
Amen. Amen. I always joke, like, if
sitting college.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but like the Matrix movie. Do you ever see the Matrix? And they're like, that you can download, stuff into your brain, and he's like, I know Kung Fu, and I said the same thing with Caleb Aumann. I said, hey, one day when like, you can download stuff into your brain, and we got nanobots and all that mess. And I'm a big dork. This is how my brain thinks. But I told Caleb, I'm like, I want to buy your skill set. I want to buy your brain, like I want the Caleb Aumann starter pack for, $199, and he's like, you're kind of a weird person, Brian, but I think that's a compliment, because Caleb, he's a great friend of the show. He's a great friend of mine. And, but anyway, not to interrupt, but yeah. So learning, you like you said, you're always learning and always, you just seem like a really practical, down to earth dude, man.
When the cool thing is, what you were talking about, the Matrix, you can literally do that. It's just not immediate. What we can do, so downloading that information that I'm talking about is sitting in the presence of the greats. If we sit with Greg Whitstock for long enough, we will begin to know everything that he knows.
Mm-hmm.
If we sit in the presence of Caleb Aumann, we will begin to know everything he knows. As you just do life together, as you reach out on Instagram, whether it be meeting up with them at different expos, and that's everyone listening too. We have the ability to be in the presence of people we look up to.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are in the presence, that old rule, well, it's not old, but that rule, we will become the average of the people we hang around, the 5 people we hang around will become the average of them.
Mm-hmm.
that, I mean, we can use that to our advantage. A lot of people see that in a negative light, but we can so often, we can, use that in a positive way. And, if the people that we're around aren't, teaching us stuff that we want to learn, and as far as business, as far as personal goes, we just change those 5 people and we will be in a completely different place in our life in a year.
That's a great tip for young folks. I mean, older folks too, but that's that's a huge tip for, the 16 to 25-year-old crowd. I always say, like, network, find a mentor, find a friend, and if you don't have access to them in person, man, use the internet, Instagram, YouTube, like you said, watch good content of those that came before you, and you're not going to get everything from them, but like you said, they can really hit the, I call it the turbo boost, like on Mario Kart, and get you, shave years off your life, and in your education. Well, let's do this. Let's circle back to the to the question of, like, how getting work. If you're 20 years old and somebody's trying to install and I've learned that these things are, you can put a patio in for $4 or $5 grand. You can put a patio in an outdoor living space for $45 grand. There's so much variety, right? What have you found works best for you with getting work and how to do all the install work? What's going on with you?
Yeah, so that's something I kind of struggled with a couple of years back, just starting out. I would say 20 years old when I started Evan's Landscape, selling jobs on my own. It's hard to sell a $20,000 project when you're 20 years old. For some people are selling, $200,000 projects when they're, 18 years old. I was never there. There's a select few that have been, but most of us are not, or have not been in that situation. But
right.
It's hard. It's hard for, a 60-year-old to give an 18-year-old, 200, say even $50,000 and trust them, have enough trust in that younger guy or girl to bring their creation to, bring their dreams to life.
Right.
It's hard, just because you're in different areas of life. But one thing that we can do as young entrepreneurs is really know our stuff. Like we have to do, like we have a lot of work to do. If we want to make, a 60-year-old trust us with $50,000, that $50,000, a new Mercedes is competing with us. Like, right. We're competing with Mercedes, Mercedes Benz. We're competing with a new F-350 that he could buy. But instead, him and his wife decide to toss $50,000 our way to make their backyard more beautiful, or create a waterfall, or spruce up a house, or if you're in construction, put on that 4-season porch. And so that's one of the struggles, but that's where we can really shine through, because the cool thing is, if it's hard for us, it's hard for everybody else. If it's hard for me, Evan, trying to sell this $50,000 outdoor living space, it's hard for Tom and Jerry and Tim and Sally, down the street. It's hard for everybody. And so only those of us who will really put our head down and really, really soak ourselves in knowledge, and try to excel, we're the only ones that are gonna, succeed. So
you've done your homework. So you're saying that confidence plays a huge factor, like technical confidence, and I'm sure you've had to sell. I'm sure you've had to sell twice as hard maybe as the next guy who's 35 years old and he's doing the job for $50,000.
Absolutely, yeah. And the thing is, we have to be comfortable with not knowing everything. We're just not gonna have, because we don't have the experience. We're not gonna have the experience as a 50-year-old landscaper that's been doing this for 40 years.
Right.
I guess that math is a little goofy, but you get the point.
Maybe.
We're just not going to have that experience, and so we have to be okay with that, and just really, we got to be. And that's one thing that I used to do too. People would ask, they'd walk me around and like, what is this bush? And I'd be like, I don't know.
Right.
I wish I knew every single bush that there was in zone 4. Well, actually, I'm not even in zone 4.
Right. Right.
Honestly, I can't even remember what zone I'm in. I think I'm in 4 or 5. But anyway,
Sure.
you can't know every single bush when you're 12 years old. And so we just have to be okay with that. It's like, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I don't know, but, I'm going to learn. And I'm going to come back with you. I'm going to come back to you with an answer. And they'll respect that. Homeowners will respect that way more than, I think it's a butterfly bush or like a rhododendron. I think it's a rhododendron. And that it's something completely, different than that.
Oh,
It's okay.
so funny.
The big thing is to be humble.
Right.
And just know where we excel and just be authentic. That'll shine through because people can see right through that anyhow.
Right.
So
well,
we really are left with no other option other than to be authentic.
We want to thank the lawn and landscape community for making GIE Plus Expo their place to reunite as an industry. Like a family reunion, thousands of dealers, landscape pros, and contractors return annually to network, share ideas, learn best practices, and make new friends. It all starts Wednesday, October 21st with the opening reception and continues into the night with free concerts in downtown Louisville. At the show, you'll have the opportunity to share experiences and brainstorm new approaches to your business challenges with friends and like-minded professionals. You don't want to miss the opening keynote, Secrets of Being an Effective Leader, presented by retired Navy 4-star Admiral James Stavridis. Register now at GIE-expo.com, and we'll see you October 21st through the 23rd in Louisville.
Dude, I appreciate you being candid, because I know I don't want to ask questions necessarily that like I want answers to. I'm trying to think about questions that somebody in your age group would want to know, and I think confidence and people feel maybe like you said not as competent, and I know what it's like, man, to be 20, 25 and trying to have people take you serious, take your company serious, and I think, let me ask you this, talk about weighing in on professionalism and professional image. I think you like you said, you want every advantage you can when you're young, right? So did you conscientiously think about all your marketing and branding, or was this just an evolution? Because I think, if I got a flyer from Evan's Landscape or I saw a Facebook ad from you, I wouldn't know the difference that the owner was 23. You do look like that big town, big firm in town that could do that $50,000 job and knock it out in 3 weeks. You know what I mean? So maybe weigh in on that, because I think that's a great equalizer for the younger audience.
Yeah, the thing is, it all starts with mindset. And I love this quote by Henry Ford. It goes something like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, if I think I can do this $50,000 project and I have a will behind that, and I have, the confidence, and I know I might make mistakes, but I'm going to get through it anyhow. I'm going to put my head down and do my best. Great things will happen. I think the Lord will bless that,
mm-hmm.
and definitely has in my life. And so, as far as selling the project, and it's kind of funny. This last fall, I actually sold a retaining wall, and they said I was higher than all the other estimates that came in, all the other quotes. And so, kind of asked around a little bit, like, well, why did you choose me? Well, come to find out, the wife had followed me on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
And so she knew, that's the funny thing with social media too. The clients or the people, and I'm sure you've had much experience with this.
Mm-hmm.
People know you. So people know you more than you know them.
Oh, yes.
So you have 10,000. You have 10,000, 20,000, 80,000. What are you up to? 80,000 subscribers. You have 80,000 people that know way more about you than you even know. You don't know them.
Right,
so
for sure.
That's the crazy thing. And so people are always watching you. And so just kind of going back to that, being authentic. I mean, you have no option, because otherwise people will find out that you're just you're spoofing it. You think you're hot stuff.
Wait a minute.
And,
so you're saying fake it till you make it doesn't work?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not a subscriber to fake it till you make it. I'm a faith it till you make it kind of guy, but I don't like people that project that they're on the next level than where they are, or try to pretend. Like you said, that's when I feel like you get in trouble. You like you said, if you don't know how to do something, just be honest. Be like, you know what, I don't know, or we'll get a subcontractor or ask a friend, but I know younger folks, like they want that big job. They want to bite off that big piece of the pie or that big piece of the cookie, and I think it comes with evolution. I don't think you just, I'm a big peak to peak principle I talk a lot about on the podcast, where you're not going to just start off and get that $50,000 job. You gotta do that $1,500, I don't know, retaining wall repair or something like that. And then you do that, you get paid, you get confidence, and you get some momentum in your life. Then you bid out the next thing and you get a $4,000, side job. Right. And then, you just take those wins and you start accumulating them, and you start getting some confidence. And then next thing you know, like you just said, you're doing an $18,000 job this, a $24,000 job that, a $40,000 job this, and it just kind of spirals upwards, like with good momentum. But I think I see just so many people, wanting to go right out of the gate and get that big $50,000 job, that big truck, that big piece of equipment. And I'm like, no, dude, and that's the thing that not everybody gets to see behind the scenes is like, in mowing, a lot of people start with a push mower, man, and you got to pay dues, and you got to give it time,
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you hit the nail on the head with it. It all takes time. You start with that $1,500 job, you start with that $4,000 job. And if some of us have been there where we get like a $5,000 check, and some of us aren't quite there yet. And just can wait. You can't wait for the day that we have a $5,000 check. And that is a really cool milestone. Even $1,000.
Yeah.
If we're doing, if we have a push mower currently and are doing a bunch of lawns, $20 here, $40 there. Even $1,000 check, that's a lot of money. And even from where we're at, we can respect that. It's like, yeah, that's way to go.
Dude, $1,000 to me still means a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, if we're doing $50 lawns here and there, it would be wrong to shoot for that $50,000 job right off the bat, just because there's so many headaches that would come along with that.
Right.
So, I mean, the way it naturally happens is, you push, you have that goal, say up on your vision board or up on your bedroom wall, that you're like, man, you have this vision in your mind of the job that you want. And so you go for it. And that's what it all comes down to.
I like it.
You go for that $1,000 job, you get it. And you're like, wow, what's next? I can get a $2,000 job. Then you get that. Then, I'm going to go for $5,000. And then it's just natural. You naturally get it.
I like it.
And yeah, it's just a progression, just a snowball. Just exactly how you had mentioned before. It's just a snowball into bigger projects, which requires more people.
Right.
It requires more money. It requires more experience. And, unfortunately, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It comes, sometimes you land a $20,000 project, and by the end of that, and I've been here, you start paying the client to do the job for them because, we do a bad job on our numbers. We try not to do this very often because otherwise we'd be out of business.
Right.
It happens to the best of us. Anybody we look up to, whether it be, I'm sure you've been in the same boat, Keith Kalfis, Sean, Stanley, Dirt Monkey, we've all been there where we've just made bad decisions. And even though it's a, $10,000 job, by the end of the job, we're paying the client to do that job for them. And so, that's really where things get stressful. But it's even through those big losses that we just kind of push through. And, we definitely know a better job is coming along. So we do better the next time. That's
Amen.
all it comes down to.
Amen.
Whether it's a big loss or a small loss, it's just doing better the next time it comes around.
Well, and that just goes full circle to, like you said earlier, which was gaining experience from other folks. Hopefully, everything that I do, whether you run a lawn and landscape business, is an asset and a resource to you to, learn the business. And, everything I do is kind of designed for the 10 years ago me, where I was, honestly, we didn't have social media, we didn't have websites and Google, right? We were, quote unquote, throwing mud up against the wall and see what sticks, I call it. And that's just, what you did 10 years ago, unless you had a mentor, and that wasn't really a thing, let me do this. I want to transition to maybe two other things that I think a lot of folks your age want to talk about. One is equipment. I know a lot, it sounds kind of fun and redundant, but a lot of folks love talking about equipment. And I know at your age, I know I am, even at my age, I still get proud of some of the things that I have and the equipment, and it's just kind of fun to talk about. And then the other thing with social media, we can always button up with that. But what's you're 23, you're making some gains out there, and I was just talking to who was it? We were talking about hardscaping and landscaping like this, and they said your first few years, you're just kind of really paying off equipment. You're just kind of really reinvesting, and I think it was Alex Nickens, and the whole conversation we had was talking about buying new versus used, and maintaining your own equipment if you have to, and hardscaping's not cheap. You're buying these $60,000 skid steers, and I joked earlier, right? I was at the Techo Block event, and I'm walking around, and it's like, well, you can get the JCB, single boom skid loader for $60,000, and all the pave tool stuff, and the IQ saw, and all really good stuff. Really, serves its purpose. I'm not throwing them under the bus, obviously. It's just relevant example. But while I was there, I was like, wait a minute, where's the $10,000 dump trailer? Where's the $50,000 to $75,000 F550 dump truck? I'm like, this is a heavy duty, expensive part of the industry to get into. A lot of people quote gross. Not a lot of people talk net. Whole nother story for a whole nother time. But you're in that preemie phase, where you're getting your business going. And so I know you're making investments. I'm sure you have a lot of overhead. Do you want to dive into equipment for a little bit, or maybe some pros and cons, some things to do's and don'ts, maybe some of the things you like, some of the things you don't like, or anything like that?
Man, I love equipment. I love it.
That was a fastball right down the middle. So
yeah, absolutely. Equipment, I think it can make or break your company. And I honestly think equipment is in the future. The more, and this is just my personal view on, the world and everything that's going on. I think equipment is where it's at. With all the technology, I don't know if you guys have, looked up Trimble and what they're doing, and all the grade, I guess I'm talking more about the excavation world, but all the grade you can see in real time. Like you can see your basement dig. If you're digging up for a basement, you can see that literally before it's even dug. You can put on your goggles, and you can see the basement dig before it's even there. And you plug that software into your machine, and it's almost we have semi-autonomous excavators that can pretty much dig themselves. We can I think it's fully autonomous haul trucks in mines. They just go about doing their thing, hauling their rock back and forth, tens of tons at a time, and there's nobody running it. There's nobody in there. It's all technology. And so I think for smaller things, what we do, that's if we invest in technology, whether it be a battery powered wheelbarrow versus one that you have to push. I mean, that your company automatically becomes more attractive to employees. They want to work for a company that invests in equipment that will take the hard labor out of it for us. Because no longer are we in 1960 where we have to dig. Like we have skid steers that you can run you can run remotely from your from your house.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy. Not that we have that equipment, but
right.
it's available to us. And so it just investing in technology is so huge. And even technology isn't all computer softwares either. I mean, technology, a wheel is literally technology. Money is technology. So technology is, we can simplify it as much as we want. But I guess all that to say, I just love equipment. And the more we can invest in equipment, I think that becomes more attractive to, future employees. That they want to work for a company that the employer really values working smart and not just hard.
Sure. Do you have any of your favorite brands or pieces of equipment? Are you, forgive me, I don't know them all, but are you Bobcat skid steer? Are you Caterpillar? Ditch Witch, JCB? I know a lot of these guys are going to wonder, like, what's the best first, skid steer or mini loader thing? What's some of the stuff that you enjoy using that's worked best for your guys' business model?
Definitely, yeah. And if anybody checks out my Instagram, it's pretty much all on there, all my equipment. But I guess I'll run through what I started out with and what I would do differently and what I like, that what works for me, I guess.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
So 3 years, well, actually 4 years ago, it'd been 2016, I believe it was. I bought a dump trailer, a 14-foot load trail dump trailer.
Okay.
And I didn't even have a truck at this point, Ryan. I bought a trailer, and then I went to my dad. He's like, "Hey, Dad, can I borrow your truck? I got a trailer now." And so, and I'd let him use the trailer too, because he'd have big piles of sticks that we'd have to throw in there, and then
and he probably gives you free rent, any berth. Yeah. So thanks, Dad.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I'd use his truck, my trailer, and I'd do my first couple landscaping jobs like that. I mean, those are the glory days, back there. Those are the glamorous days we all come from.
Mm-hmm.
And I equate that back to technology also. I mean, a dump trailer is technology.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, being able to push a button and dump 6 tons of huge logs instead of throwing them out by hand.
Oh yeah.
Or strapping them up with a rope and then tying them to the back of your lawnmower and trying to yank them out.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge, being able to push a button and dump them all at one time. And so, that was really valuable for me. That is something that I really liked. Looking back, I thought that was a wise first move, for a younger guy to invest in a dump trailer. And I guess it's all about what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys listening, a dump trailer would be a terrible first decision. And some guys like those dingos, say the Ditch Witches or the Toros, the Bobcat MTs. Some guys like those. I don't really like those personally. I've never used, I can't say I've never used those mini skid steers, but I wouldn't buy one as it sits now for the kind of jobs I'm doing now. But I would, and I do have one of these, a mini excavator. I have a 3.5 ton excavator, and the amount of things you can do with that is just phenomenal. And so that was one of my, I guess that was my third large purchase. So it's first the dump trailer, and then I got a skid steer, a track loader, a Cat 259D. And so I bought that used, and it was great. I still have it to this day, and it was a great first or second big purchase. You can haul pallets of block around. You can do tree jobs. You can, with it being on tracks versus wheels, that's kind of another can of worms, track versus wheels, if you get a skid steer.
Sure.
But for me, I thought tracks was the best option, and I still do for what I do, just because the amount of days that you can work that you couldn't otherwise if you had wheels, just because of mud. Where I'm at in Minnesota, there's a lot of muddy jobs, muddy hills that we're trying to climb.
Sure.
And you just get stuck with a wheeled skid steer. And
sure.
So, yeah, having tracks is another thing that has worked out really well for me. I'm on to my second. I got a Bobcat now, along with the Cat. It's another track loader, And just because I've noticed, you can have, instead of saying having, I don't know how many working days there are in a season for you guys, but say instead of having 150 working days with a track loader and all the rain days that you would have otherwise had, now that might be 180. And so just by having a track loader, just by investing in a certain type of technology like a track loader, you can have an extra 30 days of work throughout the year, which, as you know, that's a lot of money.
Dude, that's really, really good stuff, man. Because I try to follow like you, JC Tips, Carson Shifsky. I just love watching the younger guys like you hustle, man. It keeps me sharp, it keeps me engaged, and I try to stay relatable to some of the younger guys getting in. I don't pretend to do all that kind of work. I super admire it. Anytime I go to GIE, that's usually where you'll find me. I'm jumping on a mini excavator and digging a big ass hole in the ground because I don't, nobody would trust me with one otherwise where I live. I have a reputation. No, I'm just having fun. So I love going out there and using like the ditch witches, and just digging a big hole in the ground, and try to do that on Friday when everybody's gone and there's no cameras out there, so I don't look like a fool. I'm just having fun. But no, dude, that's really, really good stuff, man. Hey, we can't go too far without talking about I don't know what you want to dub this, but the Bobcat Gate 2019 or Mudgate for you 2019. I think you had like a black eye. You were you got a black eye from it. You got a skid loader stuck in the woods or something. What happened with all that, man? What's the story behind? I saw these photos on Instagram, and if anybody wants to follow along, I don't know if you want to talk about this. We didn't bring it up, but something happened, dude. You got a skid loader stuck in like, it looked like a mud bog. What happened with all that?
Yeah, so
I didn't pass this by you, so if you don't want to talk about it, it's cool.
It's all good. It's all good. I put it on social media, and so it's out there. Yeah, that was I believe that was last spring.
Okay.
It was a bad series of events, and
Well,
first of all, the amount of support that everybody on social media has, we've all been there.
Totally.
We've all done just stupid things and have had terrible weeks.
Yeah. I'm sure we're laughing about it now, but back then you probably wanted to quit life. I'll be honest.
Absolutely. It was one of those times I was like, how much worse can things get?
You look really defeated because that got stuck. A tractor got. I remember I was watching. I was like real time. Like, oh my god, dude, pray for this guy. Pray for Evan. So
it was crazy. Yeah. And I believe it's a time of testing. I'm a man of faith, and I believe the Lord tests us. And, not to be confused with Satan tempting us, which I also believe, Satan tempts us, the Lord will test us at times. And I believe that was the time of testing. Who is Evan really? And it kind of shows through when you almost hit, I don't know if I would call it rock bottom because there was a lot more things, that could have went wrong. But it was not a fun time. So I guess for those of you who don't know, I was doing a mulch job, so I had a loader. I rented a loader and then put a mulcher on it, a forestry mulcher. And so I was out at this client's house, and we're going to mulch a few acres of I think it was a couple acres of trees and brush, just kind of mulch it up so they have a really good looking grove around their house because it was all shaggy and whatnot. So it started off amazing. You're just sitting in the loader, just grinding up trees and having the trees spit out mulch, and it was just fun,
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden I get stuck, and it was springtime, so that's something that I have learned after that incident, not to mulch in the springtime in Minnesota.
Sure. Sure.
There was still snow on the ground. A lot of it was frozen, but then there was some warm pockets also. And so I hit one of those and I got stuck. And so I was calling so anyhow, long story short, I got one of the neighbor guys to come down with his tractor, one of the farmers, and pull me out. So that was good. I tossed him a few dollars, said thank you, and we were on our way. And then a couple hours later, I hit another spot, and I was down. For reference, I was in a Bobcat T770, so it's the second largest loader Bobcat currently makes, and so it's a good size machine. It's probably close to 10,000 pound machine with a big mulcher on the front, and I sink that thing in this mud hole, and the mud is halfway up the cab or halfway up the door on the front, and I can see the water level at eye level. So I'm literally underground.
Oh my God.
And so those doors. So you're stuck in there. And then the water started coming in because it was really soupy. The water started coming in, and I was totally stuck.
Oh no.
And so it kind of stupidly, I tried to get myself out a little bit, which of course sinks you even further. Until I was like, you know what, I'm done. And so I had my brother out there with my other skid loader. He was trying to pull me out with chains, and we kind of jabbed the forks in and tried to pull me out. Anyway, long story short, that did not work. We had to leave it overnight because it was early morning by the time we got done trying to get it out. That nothing was working, and so called up my brother-in-law. He's a farmer, and his buddy, he's also a farmer. So we get these John Deere tractors out there. I forget the model numbers, but they were good sized tractors.
Yeah.
And first of all, we get one out there that's not doing anything. So we have the tractor on the best ground we can find. That's just spinning. That's digging a hole in the ground. That's about to get stuck. It was not working. Anyway, we finally get it out after 24 hours of trying.
Wow.
It took two tractors to pull this 770 out, and it's just like getting two 5-gallon pails with, stuck together with water. It's just that suction.
Yep.
So this thing just was suctioned down into the ground, and it was literally half buried.
Wow.
There's a couple of photos on my Instagram that you probably saw.
Yeah.
And honestly, it got worse after that. So
oh, no.
the photos aren't even of the worst part. And
wow.
so
I'm
I'm
looking at them right now because I was just taking a trip down memory lane. And by the way, I'm not trying to belittle or make fun. In fact, I appreciate you being honest about the story too, because there's good days and there's bad days, man. And I buried my mower once 5 years ago. It was actually the year I got married, and I was. At the time, I got my mower stuck in the spring, in this huge 7-acre field. In the field, I couldn't tell, but it concaved in, and I was running lanes, and I got it. It did the shimmy, and I kicked the tires out, and I did the left, right, and it was stuck. And I had to call a wrecker, and the guy's like, "You got that stuck pretty good." I'm like, "Thanks, dude." And actually, the true story is I got the mower stuck, and then I got my truck stuck trying to get the mower. And so it went from bad to worse. And I'm like, bro, literally, I'm crying. I'm shedding tears. I'm like, this sucks. I'm like, literally, I'm done with this business. I'm done with lawn landscape. I'm out. The guy's like, well, he goes, it's about $1 a foot when I bring out the cable. I'm like, what? He's like, and dude, $200 back then might as well be $20,000 to me today. Okay. This is only 5 or 6 years ago. And I didn't, dude, I put it on a credit card. I didn't have it. It was spring. I was still growing my business and reinvesting. And, of course the dang HOA president, he happened to be walking by, and he's in his little loafers and his nice jeans and nice jacket. And, this is a brand new account for me, and I'm like, I'm like, dude, I'm stuck. I'm like, I'll make it right. I'll sod it. I'll clean it all up. And I did. And, so I don't make fun. I just say I've been there, we all have bad days. And if you guys are listening to this and you guys have these days, or if you haven't, I don't wish it upon you, but you might have a bad day. I just wanted to talk about this story because it was probably a surreal moment for you. You were probably really upset,
It was, in those moments, it feels kind of like the end. It just, everything's dark and
rock bottom.
Yeah. And I guess during that time too, I was out, everything just kind of keeps piling on each other. So that was the first big thing. And then the next one was once we finally got that loader out, nothing worked because all the electricals fried.
Oh no.
Because it was underwater.
Okay.
And so all the fuses were blown and everything like that. And so we had the service tech out there. He was trying to get it up and running. And anyway, they take it back to the shop and give me a new one. And so I'm like, okay, I'm done with this job. So then I take that new one over to this other next job that we have. And then they forget to put a forestry door on there, and I was kind of ignorant enough to not watch. Anyway, so I'm mulching along, and then an hour into that, then the window blows up because a stick hits it.
Whoa!
And so then I have to call the same guys back. I'm like, I just blew your window apart. And
oh my God.
So they come out and like, are you serious?
Oh
so,
my God! So now you got a wrap, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So anyway, then we get a new window on here.
Wow.
And then soon after that, I was shooting my brother's. We shoot we live out in the country, so we were just kind of shooting paint cans for fun with his rifle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the black eye, what you were referring to, was for some reason I was too focused on the target, and I shot. It was a 270. And so, it had some kick to it.
Yeah.
And a scope. I was just looking down the scope, and my face was too close to the scope, and it came back and gashed my head pretty good. I still have the scar right on my forehead. So.
Yep. Yep. I remember you.
You can see it, you can see it right in between my eyes. There's a little scope mark.
little tag to remember something by, right?
Yeah. It's all those things that just keep piling on. It's like, man, how much worse can things get? But then you pull through it. You just keep going.
Amen.
And brighter days are ahead. Even in the darkest time, brighter days are ahead. So you just keep rolling. And, that's why every one of us is where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't had dark days like that, whether personal life, whether it be business life, those days are coming. But as it sits now, I'm sure I'll have even worse times in my life, when I'm 30, 40, 50 years old. But these dark times that we've already been through are just preparing us for those even darker times.
Amen.
But
Amen.
We just keep pushing, and that's why we're fighting the good fight. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
Dude,
we love it.
Amen, bro. Like I love the positive attitude in the rah-rah, because I need that too. You gotta remind yourself that, what, things come to pass, right? It's a season. Somebody, I forget the old line, but somebody's like, if you're going through hell, keep going, keep walking through, like you'll get out of it. Don't quit, don't stop there. That's when it's the worst. Like every step you make after that is getting you out of the hole. And I just remember watching you on Instagram for like 2 weeks straight, and I was like, what is happening to my boy? Like, I'm like, and I think I was messaging you. I'm like, dude, it's all good, man. Things will be on the up and up. And I try to spread love out there, and I was like, dude, I'm hoping everything's okay. And then I saw the door, and then I saw your nose, and I thought it was related. I'm like, oh my God, dude, like this kid is getting just beat up. And I just felt for you, man. But I so admire the hustle and the, like you said, that entrepreneurial spirit of moving on, man. And that's how I know you're a butt kicker. That's like, for real, that's the stuff I wanted to know. That's why I wanted to get you on the show. You're not out there, wetting on yourself. You're 23, you're blazing a trail, and making it happen.
Yeah, and as good old Martin Luther King Jr. said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And that's the times that define who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We just keep moving forward, and that's really what I think an entrepreneur is. I mean, we don't love failures, but it's part of it.
That's and if you think you're going to get out of it skate free or scot free and not have struggles, you're not going to live like that in this business industry or any other business. It's the try, fail, adjust, man. It's the keep moving forward, dude. You're 23. You sound like you're 53. I feel like I got Winston Churchill on the phone. You know what I mean? So let's do this. We've been going for an hour. I want to if you got 5 or 10 minutes, nothing crazy. Just I want to just ask you about social media, because I love taking the opportunity when I talk to the younger guys. I learn from you. I learn from guys like you about social media. I don't pretend to have it all figured out, but like you said, you've and while we're at it, make sure you do me a favor and plug your socials, because I want to have people know where they can find you. But what inspired you to get on Instagram and to get on YouTube? You have things blowing up. You have you just passed 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which for real is no easy feat. It takes a lot of work, even for that first 1,000. And you got all these cool things going on. So what what's your socials? And then also what inspired you to, jump on social media? Was it to give back, just highlight your work because you're proud of it, or trying to pay it forward, or any of the above?
Yeah, so you could say things are getting pretty serious with the YouTube thing. No, I'm just messing.
People know me.
yeah, I'm just messing. So, honestly, I just saw guys like you putting stuff on YouTube, and for a while I was like, how long is YouTube actually going to stick around? And I asked myself the same question about Facebook and Instagram. It's like, we saw MySpace come and go. That was before a lot of us, a lot of the listeners' time. Almost before my time too. But we see all these socials come and go, and they just kind of go in, go out. It's like, how long is YouTube going to stick around? How long is Facebook, Instagram going to stick around? How long is TikTok going to stick around?
Sure.
And I was like, it's lasted this long, and people have made it work. So why not? Why don't I? And then I honestly looked around in my market and saw, like, what other landscapers in my city are on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram. So there's most of them are on Facebook. That's cool. And most of them have some good content on Facebook. Literally, maybe there's a couple on Instagram by now, but even now, if I search my fellow competitors, if you will, there are very few that are doing anything on Instagram.
Sure.
Some have a couple YouTube videos linked to their website, but honestly, they're not doing much YouTube. And, not to say I'm some big YouTube star. I'm definitely not. I'm far from it. But, that is something I've dabbled in, something that I do plan on focusing more on in 2020. And, now that a couple videos have taken off, a couple of the time lapses have got a couple views now, so caught some attention. So that's really cool to see that has worked.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely be doing more of that. But yeah, I just looked around and noticed that there's this gap, this hole that I could fill because nobody else in my market has done it. People in the Michigan market, like you, Keith Galfis, if you're on Instagram, Jack Kelly with Imagine, Design and Build does amazing work. He's filled that. So, people from these different parts are doing well at it, but nobody from, Rochester, Minnesota. And so I was like, what? There's an opportunity here. And so I just kind of started, and it's just been really cool to see what becomes of it. There's so many different people, including you, that we meet on Instagram, and we wouldn't have these connections if it weren't for social media.
100%.
So it's been a really big part of my business, and I believe whether it be Instagram, maybe Instagram will go away, maybe Facebook will go away, but some connection, some social media of some sort, even in 20 years, that's going to be the future. And so even if Instagram goes away, a new one comes about, being involved in whatever the social media of the day is going to be huge.
So let me ask you this. Do you, as a 23-year-old, and social media to you is pretty regular, and some there's a boomer right now listening, and he's like, I'm not on Instagram, do you truly feel that it's helped you with your personal business and also your professional development, and like you said, getting business for your actual business, which, just like me, I run my lawn and landscape company. Now, I'm actually totally not trying to advertise anything for my traditional business because I'm like full. I'm an owner operator. We've been doing this for 12 years. I'm pretty tapped out. I'm increasing my profit and revenue by raising prices and being lean and growing my bottom line, right? But for, like you said, if you're just starting up, for crying out loud, you better be on Facebook and have a Facebook page. You better have a Google business listing. You better decide if you want an Instagram to like network with other peers in the community, or an Instagram to show off your personal business. I usually suggest dividing it up, but some people combine it. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just, in my opinion, do it because it's a great way to earn business. And like you said, YouTube videos, and how-tos. And, dude, I watch your Instagram and you have all these before and after photos. I know those have to sell jobs for you.
They do. And that's the cool thing. And, the thing about if there's a boomer watching or listening to this, the cool thing is I do not have a big following.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that looks up my Instagram or YouTube, I'm just a normal guy. I don't have, I say, what is it, 2,300, followers on Instagram, I think,
Mm-hmm.
which is not a large amount. But I even at that amount, I've gotten jobs. I've landed jobs off of Instagram.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of cool to see. And so, yeah, if there's a boomer out there, thinking, it's too late for me. Instagram is going to be dead by the time I get around to anything. I would say that is not true. Now with sponsored posts, first of all, you're a boomer, so you should have, a lot more experience and just more knowledge and maybe even more money to put behind, say, sponsored posts.
Yeah.
And that's where it's at. You can have 10 cool pictures of what you do, and you can put those, you can create a profile, you can, put those on your Instagram, and you can sponsor, you can sponsor those, and you can get jobs right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I would say
geotag and
now,
mm-hmm.
Now is not too late. And now is a great time to start. As a matter of fact, if there was a 6-year-old in my market that's wanting to get into Instagram, there's a couple 6-year-olds that have really good businesses around me, do really good work,
Mm-hmm.
Have really hopping businesses, but they're just not on Instagram. Man, they would put me out of business if they get on Instagram.
Sure.
I don't truly believe that, but all that to say, they would do very well.
Right.
They just don't have that. They don't value it. And so if you're a boomer and you somewhat value social media, that you will really stick out in the market, and that you have some serious potential there, even more so than a guy my age.
Sure. Well, and that's the thing too. It's almost like your digital business card is what I call it. Like it reinforces who you are. It's not going to get you everywhere, but it's almost like if you don't have social media, nowadays, it's almost like you don't exist. And it sounds really, really weird to say that, but it's kind of true. Like if I go to, a haircut place or a restaurant, dude, the first thing I'm doing is I'm jumping on Google, I'm looking at Yelp, looking at photos. I've already been to your restaurant before I've been to your restaurant, if you know what I'm saying. I already know Samantha K, told me not to get the fish. I already know, Mike G told me to get the steak. I know the photos, I know where the restrooms are at, I know the linens, I know how things are set up, and if compared to Steakhouse A versus Steakhouse B, and it's just Mikey's Steakhouse. Well, if Mikey doesn't have any photos, I'm not probably going to Mikey's. Even if it's got a 5-star review from Yahoo. I need content. We're just a video driven, photo driven, audio visual driven society now. With Facebook and all this stuff, and so I think it's critical. So I appreciate you weighing in on that.
Yeah, and I really like that you brought up all that, because gone are the days. Well, whether you like it or not, gone are the days that. And I'm not trying to bash you if your business name is A+ Lawn Care or Affordable Lawn Care or something that starts with an A.
Mm-hmm.
But gone are those days that is the cutting edge. If you have a business name that has an A or a B in it, you will be at the top. Gone are those days. These days,
great tip.
So the equivalent of that is social media right now. So if you were cutting edge back in the day and had a business, or still do, with an A in the front, like A+ Lawn Care, the equivalent of that is now social media. That is what will keep you at the top. That is how Google will pretty much credential you. And that's how you're on the top now.
I 100% will echo. I mean, dude, you got wisdom beyond your years for sure, man. And I just want to get a younger guy like you's perspective. On a lighter note and probably a more fun note, what do you listen to? Like are you a big Gary Vee guy? Like do you consume a lot of this? Are you a big podcast guy in general? Like what's somebody your age, and what's Evan's Landscape listening to when he's got drive time or you're on a mower or landscaping? What do you listen to? What do you like to consume?
Yeah, definitely. So podcasts, like literally what we're doing now is what I love to consume. A couple of those podcasts are The Art of Charm I used to listen to. That's more personal development, more networking, just how to be a good, make people like you, pretty much.
Yeah.
Funny.
It's a great skill. Great skill.
Yeah. So the guy that used to lead The Art of Charm is now Jordan Harbinger. A lot of personal development stuff that he still does. He brings on, just phenomenal people from around the world that have great stories. You can learn a lot from them. That's Jordan Harbinger Show on podcast. And now I'm on a really big John C. Maxwell leadership podcast.
John's the man.
So it's phenomenal. It's just the wisdom that he has is just incredible.
Oh yeah.
And you can learn so much. And now, that used to not be my thing. But now that I have a team, now that I have employees, now that I'm trying to create this company culture that I'm creating, leadership is needed at every level. And I even want my employees to be, almost better leaders than me. I want to, train them to lead, whether that be if they have a family, I want them to lead their family in the best way possible. I want them to lead, in their, if they're, in a church or in a small group or, leading a bowling team. I want them to lead everywhere possible.
Yeah.
And,
dude, John,
John really what the mean.
Well, I was going to say with his book 360 Degree Leader, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, just 5 levels of leadership. I've heard John Maxwell speak about a half dozen times. I've just been blessed with some really fortunate opportunities to hear him speak at business conferences. My name is John, and I'm your friend. And he's done a couple speeches like the Velvet Covered Brick. Just that guy's incredible. I'm a self-help junkie. Okay. I've read 1,000 books and there's always a story behind the story, but that's people are like, you educated? I'm like, what do you mean by educated? Like college? No, but self-help. I've read them all. And people always joke like, what are you doing in the self-help section? I'm helping myself. Okay. MIT graduate. I'm trying to learn leadership and sales skills and business skills, and, anyway. So you like leadership, self-development. I think 2 critical skill sets and attributes that you can be learning at your age. You cannot consume enough of that stuff between 18 and 30. And just because you get older doesn't mean you need to stop. But those are skill sets that pay big dividends. That and salesmanship, in my opinion. What anything for fun or anything? Do you like Gary Vee, social media? What else you got?
Yeah, so Gary Vee. I appreciate Gary Vee. I appreciate his message. Some things I personally, the way some ideas are presented is not the way I would present them. As far as wording goes, let's
sure.
put it that way.
Yeah.
But if you get down to his message, what he's really presenting, word it however you may in your own mind. He's a genius. That guy is just a genius. And the team he's created, the culture he's created. I have not been able to, visit one of his facilities or his, businesses in person. But I'm sure, the moment you step in there, I'm sure it would be just crazy. The company culture he's created. So I really respect that with him. Grant Cardone is another guy that some people like, some people don't as much, but I'm kind of on a Grant Cardone kick right now. Really just take, and again, if you don't like the presentation, that's huge. If you like the presentation or you don't like the presentation, but I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is when you get down to the core of what they're saying, those guys have some serious knowledge. Right. A
lot of wisdom.
That goes for everybody in our life. We always run into people that, sometimes the presentation isn't the best. Or what I mean by presentation is just the way it's worded or body language or different things like that.
Sure.
It might turn us off. But, it's just really seeing people for who they are and what their message is. It's huge.
Yeah.
You can learn so much.
I totally agree.
Yeah, definitely Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, Bold CEO with Bold Worldwide. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Okay.
Brian Cristiano. The only reason I've saw him was because of sponsored posts on YouTube and whatnot and Facebook.
Okay.
So he's just super smiley guy, just awesome I'm sure if you were to meet him in person, he'd be the same guy that he is on camera.
Okay.
Just one of those super authentic guys. And he's had a hard life too. I think his wife is going through some chronic illnesses. But he's just a solid guy and just super cool to learn from too. Nice.
No, dude, I appreciate it. I appreciate you sharing because like I said, you're a decade younger than me, and I'm just curious what you're listening to because you're, like I said, you're a leader and you got a lot of wisdom with what you're doing, and I like a little bit more in your face stuff sometimes, like Andy Frisella and Jocko with the Jocko podcast. Those
definitely
those guys are alpha animals, and I'd like to pretend I'm an alpha, but I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna let you go ahead and lead, okay? Because you guys are crazy, I'm a behind the scenes.
With some of those guys you listen to, like Heavy D from Diesel Brothers.
Yeah.
You listen to some of those guys and you just get ripped just listening to them. You have to work out and you're just huge.
Oh my God, it's so true. Yeah, dude, I listen to like bodybuilder guys, like motivation, on YouTube. You put that stuff on, and then you grab your weed whip and you just want to throw it in the woods like a javelin, because you're just like, I'm done with this thing, man. I'm ready to go do something more important, or whatever.
Absolutely.
You just want to rip it from the frame, and or a customer chews you out and you want to chew them out. Never a good idea, but you know what I'm saying. So.
Absolutely.
Dude, I love it, man. Well, dude, this was really, really good, man. We're actually way over. We're an hour and 20, and I always try to be respectful of people's times because I want to make sure that I'm not taking your whole night away either. But let me ask you this. We'll wrap it up with maybe just a quick parting thought. Open mic. You say whatever you want with maybe leaving anybody with. Something that's maybe, been an impactful moment in your life, or, something that's really motivated you, or a good business tip, something that you would leave, the Evan 5 years ago, or maybe somebody that's a peer of yours right now that's, maybe they're kicking butt, maybe they're struggling, man. Any final thoughts or anything you want to leave everybody while we got you?
What I would say is just stay hungry. I mean, you've heard it so many times, but it just really... It'll make you or it'll break you. So staying hungry is the key to success, I believe.
I like it. That's good. That's it. I mean, come on. You already gave all your good one-liners, so you're stay hungry. I like it. Stay hungry. Stay humble. That's a good one.
Yeah, humility too. That's huge. There's so many things that are huge. They're just a big part of what will create you.
Yeah. No.
But, I guess personally, my faith has been a huge part in that too, and part of that is staying humble, and we all mess up, but just doing the best you can. Is where it's at.
I totally respect that, man. Liz and I were Christians, and in the North we do a little different than people do in the South, where you beat it over everybody's head. I'm just having fun. But my faith guides me a lot, and that honestly gives me a lot of strength to do what I do. Because, man, I'll tell you what, 100,000 people, resting on our shoulders, and it takes a lot to, encourage the world every freaking day. And I'm just a regular guy, just like you guys, and so amen to that. Liz and I, we always say, man, we take the serious stuff serious, and we always make time for that. We always prioritize that in our life. We always try to walk it out the best we can. We're not fake, we don't pretend to be anything we're not. We have bad days too. I swear when I shouldn't be, and, but you know what, at the end of the day, we're trying to live, a purpose-driven life and one that's exemplary, and so, I only share that because I know you do as well. And we were talking about that. You just being transparent before we hit record. And I was like, dude, it just made me feel that much better about having you as a guest on the show. You know what I mean? And so, all right, well, cool, man. Well, that's pretty much what I got right now. Any final thoughts that you want to wrap up with, or are we pretty much good to go here?
I think, I got nothing.
Cool. Well, hey, like I said, I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's we're recording this on a Friday night, actually, late night, and it just actually worked out best for both of our calendars. But well, really quick, where can everybody find you? You're on socials like YouTube and Instagram, Facebook. What? Just quick plug so everybody knows where to find you if they want to keep up with you and what you got going on.
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, Instagram, Evans Landscape is my handle. YouTube, Evans Landscape LLC. And Facebook, Evans Landscape LLC as well.
Cool.
And I'm definitely open to DMs, to emails. Hit me up, and I love to help out you guys as much as possible. I try to share my knowledge, even with the Instagram stories.
Yeah.
I try to share my knowledge, whatever I do have.
Cool.
I try to give it away so you guys can learn as well.
100%, bro. Well, you're easy to find. You got some good branding, like I said, with that light blue and the black and the light gray, and your branding's really on point. So cool, man. Well, all right, guys. Well, hey, appreciate you, taking the time to listen to another fun podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I always say this, if you guys enjoyed the podcast, do me a big solid, hit a 5-star review. When you're looking down at your phone, it takes like 2 clicks on the blue bar there or whatever, depending on what you're listening on. It goes a long ways to helping the podcast grow and get surfaced and get suggested. So we always we always appreciate when you guys take the time to hit a 5-star review. So if you haven't, hit 5 stars, drop a couple sentences. Let me know what you guys think of the show. If you liked it, hit 5 stars. If you didn't like it, hit 5 stars. Okay. So just having fun. But Evan, thanks again for being on the show, brother. We really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Brian. I really appreciate that.
Awesome, brother. All right, guys, that's it. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.